아들은 아주 얀천디나나 아니 슈튼 직 보존 주소와당 대단냠도 아니 자다와게 딱 바래 정아주 대진심도 너가 이랬잖아 대단냠도 아닌데 인담 주지도 주셔야 돼 마시에 주소 앞에 마시 가오송스 참아라.
I'm very happy to greet everyone here to our usual Monday Sukhavati practice in connection with this heart advice discourse that I'm commenting on.
라바르드 드레인 공에 많이 치기로 징해야 보지 하고 마서도 이네 코랑당 사바카시지 배우자 마시 투지 지시.
And I'm really happy to greet all of our new guests and our honored Kundalini instructor.
Yeah.
That's another guests that are here.
나 남정의 주시의 값을 아니 문로지다 무엇은 이시게 요시.
I usually talk about a preparatory stage leading up to the main subject.
아니 문로드게 진보지라면 망보지고 문로세인데 자 말다 의지세인데 자니면 망보지고 의지드게 진보인바지 참여하고 이러시.
The main subject chosen as for a dharma practice or talk and so on is obviously, very important, and everyone realizes that.
이나양 의지드게 진보지도 차고유나 문로드 야보지 마성와 이나 아니 의지도 야보지 차기요 말이지.
But that main subject or practice, in order for it to be good, very much depends upon the preparatory stage that leads up to it. That will determine whether the actual subject or practice is something truly beneficial and fruitful or not.
배는 강박에 많이 야보 담보 강박들 많이 야보지 마성아이나 토론 강박 가지 잡아이나 강박들 띵부 차고면 왔지.
Just like a building, if this foundation isn't stable, it doesn't matter how many floors are built on top of it, it won't be firm, it won't be stable.
내내자니 무지대 야보지 송고아이나 문로도 꾸농 야보지 와다 개치 모르지.
So that's meant to indicate that preliminary stage of the motivation, the intention that we bring to the main practices is what really serves as that foundation.
다 꾸농해야 되라. 다 남건 타다냐 besim지 탐지 랑다도 대완도 봐 랑다도 동하면도 봐 지과인 봐 대심지 대남 대와도 디나 지마롱 동하다잖아 지마롱 디 대와도 딘베 탑시대 니마 드리는 소능에 지긴 삼바 남자든 르네 삼노 담바이나 아니 꾸농 체딘이 차고 요리지.
So here that qualified motivation is one that is cognizant of all life throughout space and empathizes with all of it, feeling the urge for happiness and the dread of suffering, and being completely dedicated to that, immersed in that aspiration for all sentient beings, and being dedicated to do whatever one can towards that end, and if being for this purpose, that I'll do this practice. That's the proper motivation.
어떤 데인도 있잖니. 다 남건 타다냐 besim지 탐지. 간지시네 땅같이 대회 나오나 꾸고래. 다때 삼노 땅에다 개진 버린도와 뭐만보지게 대화시도 있잖니. 르초르게 대화되는 마도 심소르게 대화돼 뭐만보지가 하고요 말. Luchor dewa tela ngachi zupola takarisi Jambota, and Kamba Yabota, Moda Yabota, Peshata. They drew go Matoa, to go Jadepa, the Lichina. They got the Lugutsol deva secura. The deva chip taking us on the Yumarawa. The day you Anita, Deva Munek Deva the Karit in the Yongo Yurisina, Munek Deva Nomad sing Devakat in the Yongo. Sing Devate.
So if we're going to think about how many sentient beings, living beings throughout space, these immeasurable living beings, and bringing them happiness, and ask ourselves, well, how would we go about doing that? And so we consider that a lot of living beings, they don't really know any happiness except physical comfort of having enough to eat and shelter and clothing and that kind of comfort, but that's not really the main happiness. That can't bring true happiness. And most living beings aren't really aware of happiness of the mind, just the happiness of our mind rising from within the mind. And so this is what we are seeking to bring to beings.
Dewa.
So mental happiness, which is the main one, the principal one.
Pena simla Dewa Chimbochi, Pena. The Pangochi the Chayana, Nachi Pangochi, the Langala Nin, the home lab sister. The Nrichigla, Simla Dewa Chimbochi, Korana, Rajik, Namtamipa, Choshi Yuba, Chirajik, Ninja Yuba, Seva Yuba. The Nrichik Simla Devachi Yuna, Court Rugo, to Jam Cha, Tang, Rugo, to Ridena, Kuzupo, the Shirakanga Yuma. In the same Dewa take Zupi Dewa Sturgeon Indo Yura.
So, for instance, if there was a beggar or a homeless person who just naturally had a disposition that was just very bright and sunny and naturally compassionate, full of compassion and love for others, and just naturally a happy disposition, no matter how much physical difficulty it would go through, it wouldn't be as bad. It wouldn't really suffer as much, and that's because it would have such a strong mind, such a happy mind.
Pena ching khamba zibo pesha ba ngui saya mambo ka dabo khamba zibo kandena ani to lon jambo ko khala chimbosa yopo yomo pe 같이 gogo yadene ya kho semna ranhi ngamtra semle dewa mina ko zupi dewa te yong marwa ko sem dewa te ke semle ngamtra ta semle shinang ta semle choshi mi pa darun du ngam de chi yuba ina ko lug dewa te ke ku sem dewa le pingam do wa.
Whereas if there's someone who is extremely well off with all of the extremely fine house and food and servants, but they're not happy. They're just feel a lot of stress, anxiety, worrying. Then that physical comfort that they have will not really help them. Will not really benefit them.
I want to
tell a little story.
Nankambo jala any support the Pumbot and the Juchimbo Jordi Juchimbo Machi and the Tombachi.
So there was this one merchant in India before who was extremely wealthy.
And in Koran Combat and the Zibo, Tokakala, and in combat Toza Mambo, in combat building them the Tozaji color. And in Koyopo Yoma Mambo, Shen any 다 니인데 이러시 거 니인데 기콩나는데 마다데 이러시 기콩나니 마다데스 미 티데네 방고든 홈랩스 드는 칸바 미지지 뭐지 딱봐 들 니인데 이러시 코란 거 만통데 이렇게 기콩나니.
So he had a very tall building with many stories and a lot of servants, and he would sleep up in this building, and he had one window to look out, and there was a beggar, a homeless person that he would always see.
아니 코란 니사는 니인데 알로 파자 철자 치나 주주 담보값은 니 마고 주주 니버값은 니 마고 순버값은 니 마고 된지지 방고들은 마때데 거 냥치미라 지보 신이만은 니코도 이러지.
So this very wealthy person up in his tall building would toss and turn at night and not be able to sleep, have insomnia, get up and walk around, and every once in a while he'd walk over to the window and he'd look out and see that beggar there who was just sleeping the sleep of the blessed, and just very content and just snoring away there. And he'd wonder, how could that beggar out there just sleep like that?
아니 코란 그 삼노지 따한데 코니 마코 주드 갈라 자와드 갈라 토르시나 코다 빼샤 망보요 봐 주치 모요 봐 델라 심디시네 다 사니 가르시 나니 가르시 로지마 가르시 삼바 코나 삼노 망보 콘 다 빼샤 당무 던조 데크던지 차리시.
So then he thought, well, why am I feeling this way? And then he realized it was because of having all of this money and having to worry about it and having to think about what he was going to do with it tomorrow, the next day, next year, and all of these concerns.
아니 코란 이 마치네 다 파치 딘디 인줄이 있어 니마치라 아니 코란 그 추다시 다야 고문 추직 사직 안듯이 배샤 딘디 커송 방고 그 샵드네 갈래 방고 인사 그 샵드네 야야지.
So he had this theory, and so he thought he'd test the theory. He wasn't sure, so he took out 10,000 rupees and took it and stuck it under that, went out and stuck it under that beggar's mattress.
아니 이 방고 때게 대라와.
So the homeless person found it.
대코데도 스페셜드 찐. 다 찐이 된듯이 다 크기 공간에 마다데 스페셜드 다 봤지.
So then, when next time the rich person looked out the window, he saw the beggar counting the money, figuring out how much money he had.
니마치라 마치 따는데 방고도 요 말이지. 딱 봐라 히들은 이인데 니마치라 요 말이지.
But one day he looked out and the beggar was no longer there.
이 니마지마 철 내면데 거기 작다. 와 바이스클. 근데지 유는 커도 이러지.
So then it's Chulesong.
고란 철 내면데 유는 저 커리지.
And then he showed up again with this moped.
테니 거다 디 따티 뉴인데 자네 테니 따텔라 디스tam노 마보지 코타 따기 빼야 텍스 유라 따테 아니 레가 지망라 손에 아니 방고테 후말라 지보 후말렌데 지보 멜리리네 아니 코 양자 딱 지가 딜라다 비지들 진 고조리지.
So it was actually one that he could take passengers, and so he started doing this business with the bike, and got more and more concerned with his business, more busier and busier.
아니 고랑 빼야 때 지가다지 디스 캡상더라한테 다때 의왕나네 야양데 그 마자시 총세 아니 방고도 셈마지 왔지.
And in saving some money and putting it aside, and then trying to make more and build on that, and he saw that it made that beggar unhappy.
아니 디 따디 뿜보시나 디 주침보데 그때 통도잖아. 아니 람상 고랑라 라마가 출신이 고요 말이지. 람상 학원. 빼샤시야데 뭐 맞지와. 뭐 지보미가 zon기데 빼샤리 너 삼바. 아니 고랑라 라hin게 방고 때 고랑의 야 취시와 난신세네. 다고 휴대시에요 말이데 고 고랑의 라자나지 니라 아유리시.
And so this rich person, 그건 gelporbe.
라 잘보래.
So he was actually a king. Learned this way without the need for a spiritual master to explain. He said, he realized, oh, money is what makes people unhappy. 아니, 미 참 교보소 그래서.
그래.
되니?
라.
네 랑신기 하고 열어.
되니 고랑 안시 그더니 랍자나데 고랑 라지 알린토 요리시.
So he was able to learn that this important advice that happiness does not come from material things.
아니 고랑 초시세나다. 초시세나다. 초시세나.
So he realized contentment was important.
근데 자네 산지 좀 된데 그냥 노유 강런 노유 될 동아리 유시 강런 노유 받을 동아 그 고추고 유시 근데 송도와
That's why Buddha said, as much wealth as you have, that's how much suffering you have.
얘는 다 찍더 참아 야보 말이지 뱀조 야보 말이 노래 야보고 말이시야 참아 빵고시 대고시네 라고요 말이고 초시셔야 돼 뺏기지 뭐 초시셔야 돼 뭘 취다 초시
But it's not being said, that material things are bad, that's all they are, worthless or useless. But the important thing is the idea of satisfaction, contentment.
야야 아니 근데 제당 아주 뒤 좋아대 망고 죽인 때는 아주 좋아대 가장 난신세의 제바 마동아시 뒤바지 마둥이 소들은 아주 취시야 내내 전에 노르듯이 마둥이 니 참했던 소소시.
So since I want to mainly focus on the explanation of this text, the hard advice this evening, we'll do, like last week, and abbreviate the recitation from
Amitabha ke yoa page 9 gul.
So in the larger book, it's page 9 where we'll be starting.
Amitabha ke junde pray to the
I think I got the wrong line.
lineage.
There's 2 different lines, is there?
gurus of Sukhavat practice.
In the small book, it's the number 1 after the first 10 pages or so. Namo Amitabha. There is a number 1
This
after
one.
page.
I need a different book actually because this one is the sok. This one is a completely different book. So this is a special book somebody should keep.
Here. So
After page 21, there's a number 1. Namo Amitabha. Susan, David has a wrong book.
yeah, tete.
Kyan Google maybe.
Ocean,
This was
You
a
give it
special
to
one
him.
that should be kept in a special place.
you give it to him. Lineage, give it to him. Oh. Oh.
Does everyone find the place where it says Namo Amitabha?
Namo Amitabha. Sunju Soksum, page 33, back bow. Emma Ho, Momsar Sanji Nawantayita.
So, speak page 33 on the big book.
Emma Ho.
Right after where it says Benja Sato Om, Benja Sato A, Benja Sato and starting Emma Ho. Emma Ho, Motsar Sange. Right after Benja Sato Om, Benja Sato Om.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 56 in the small book.
Mahong Tar Sanje Nangwa Daye Dang Tuje Jimbo Tuje Dola So Sanje Sanje Bame Tamje La Tuje Kwebe Simje Solwande Dala Jawang Wada Tada Sol Nawan Deva Jinjelo Rani Simban Jide Avansoka Shaje Saje Tambo Tajardang Ome Shide Dane Behanji Kusa Dada Rinje Jinjeji Me Bime Nangde Jedon Yo Yahalinde Jiba Tabe Upami Bajo Sumboda De Jin Ho Yang Su Zo Ba Sa So Ve Do Har Da De Are Yen Da Ame De Ve Ma De Ye Zhe Ho De Le Ve Zhe Ha Do Na Zo Ba Je Be Ne De Na Wa Ja Ba Nu So Je Ja Ba Se Je Dam Je 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 Ve Zhen La De Ne Ram Ma Den Do Wa Sim Je Hun Je De De Jiang De Wa Jin De Je Ve Ha Den Ju So Wa Jin De De Je Jin De Je Nam Je Sim Je Wa Ba Me Be Ge Ya Yen Se Da Sim Ba Sim Ma Na San Je San Se Ba Be Gen Den Je Ma Da Do Be Ho Wa Dong Le Do Zhe Je Zhu Me Sim Je Tam Je Gu Ho Ba Me Be Ho Bang Do Ba Je
다 던데 값서 다당아 주당 거거니 오바가 라다 힘반 던데 값서 아니 던지 남칼라 다다디 탕칸은 뒤야주다지 공부 오바미.
So when we usually recite the mantra, visualize Buddha Amitabha as pictured in the scroll painting in the space before us.
된 공부 오바미라 아니 가지 같이 그러는 뭐지 송반한지 체 파만 물도 동양라 보왕 링비 당단 님바이 님치 두동 남서 소와 토지 베나 부지 그 말라게 잡는 베나 지 당에 흥에 흥만의 시에 되게요 부지 그 말라게 잡베나 아마시 베들면 아마신 찍게 잡는 이 등이야 당 같은 데 봐 양고와도 중심한테 차대 되면 아미데와라 아미데와라 시대된 데도 와 대 많이 봐 아미데와시 파 닝기 지니 닝고 리베된 거랑 동쇼 잡고네 부촌 그 말에 배바 나지 대신은 배고 송이래.
When we recite the mantra, as Guru Padmasambhava said, as I've mentioned before, like a child calling for her mother with the sweetness of flutes, and throughout the day and night, throughout the 6 periods of day and night. So, like a child calling to his mother, with intense feeling, with the feeling that just comes, I mean, you can say a mantra, Om Amitabha, Om Amitabha, with not much feeling, but the way a child calls to the mother is, it's with kind of desperation. It comes from the depths of the heart. You even say like from the bones, calling to the mother. And so within our chanting, that's the kind of feeling that we want. This coming from the very depths of our heart, from the depths of our being, putting that into the chant.
Today in the journey, that lagom, I think he batang lagom, the Jenang Pala lagom. That he batang, that carries in a Chusia, Yonso, Chatang, Tamade, and it that gang tarjang, that I to sim June the Zek Nibo. June the Zek Nibo. Rang June the Zek Nibo Chill and Rogo at that catching Boris. Lagom, Nibatang, the say they are the Sama Simjun, the Zek Nimbo. Nimoto Sum, the Zek Nimbo and Rogo.
Do sung in Nimbo. So all of this practice of visualizing the deity in front of us, reciting the mantra, it's all meant to act as for healing of the afflictions of the mind, the three poisonous delusions of ignorance, attachment, and aversion. It's all meant to be a remedy for that.
Juju Tanjula, Juju Tang, Juju Tanya Chila. 가리 줍죠 땅거 요리 르가 이슴 르가 이슴 그 메게버 속 득바데 아니 득바데 장네 아니 르가 이도 사와 정비 소라 야 따야데 추스야 돼 님보 늦지가
So again, that what we mean by this antidote or this remedy, the word for dharma in Tibetan is che, and just to understand this, the meaning of this makes it very simple. In this context, it really means transformation. So transformation of what? Transformation of harmful ways of being in our body, with our speech, or our ways of thinking, transforming them into wholesome, positive ways of body, speech, and mind. So this is the meaning of dharma here. It's transformation.
추냠는写个뭐 두르송 요람 두르송나 추写了마제了你마제 야야는 야요 나가 아양 my uncle 거 ngal kadui no kona kapchu da kare chura takpara se sobjong che chura shirap de ni ya no de chura ngaja de ni ya yong do si shirap da ngaja ni de sin do de mama se na shirap de ngaja de man go yo shirap de ngaja ni mo ro go yo ra chura shirap ya chi ki ngaja chi so na chura lobjong 마세 야야는 야가 요즘 끝이 추랑 lobjong 마세 생각을 깝주자 그래. 디 깝서 말로 충청으로 와. 이 하고면. 다다고네 이렇게 따는데 다대 은에 자네 치. 다 당마서야 돼. 다 데려라서 지금 매완다 지다. 은에 당마서야 돼. 데린도 삼삼한다 지금 다다 하고.
Now when I was little and studying, I had this one uncle that was observing what happened, and you notice that as I learned more and more, I got prouder and prouder of it. And so seeing that, the learning wasn't really fulfilling its purpose. Normally, wisdom should act as an antidote to pride or arrogance. So he said to me at that time, the more you learn, the more prideful you're getting. Better you stop studying now. Please, just stop your studying right now. And I didn't understand what he meant at that time, but now looking back on it, I understand what he was saying, and I feel like it was a very essential instruction, oral instruction, that I couldn't really receive more profound instruction than that.
강달전 추스야 되게 추스야 되게 신들은 멀리팀 리티들은 머상보지 뭐야보지 나 종아이나 랍도 종나 제타 종나 야보 종나 기와 스마 다 기와 스마 킬링이 요나 신들의 자 기와 스물리티 조치데 기와 스마리티 야보지 토야 기와 스마 킬랑나 기와 스마 가시 케 말라나야 루틴 디 토니 뭐야보 용하지.
So really, it's all intended to make us just a better person, or a kinder, better person. And if we accept reincarnation, then this will be a natural progression leading into future lives, where we'll again be able to be a better and better person. But even if we don't think about that kind of thing, that's really what it's about. Here and now, in this life, improving our ways of being, ways of acting physically, verbally, and mentally.
야야, 다 칼장디. 맞춘 초대 인다 칼장 초대. 쇼로가 쭉쭉 나는 거예요.
So coming to the heartfelt advice of Dharma Nectar, we came up to the 11th verse last time.
가시 지난소라 이게 민나 파지 찍기를 띵로지시.
If you don't have a book, if you want, please share.
Share it. You don't have? Oh.
But we'll say it anyway, so you won't miss anything.
他的安当主席是那小老个主席个男的呢，你做心情我就没办法，伊拉我为用说心办呢，他们就被几把男生送，马比先了小心，很大名气，对嘛引起的嘛啦呢。
So this 11th verse says, prepare with bodhicitta, be undistracted in main practice, and dedicate at the end. Full attention to these 3 points is cherished by those on the path to liberation. It is taught. Don't forget this. Keep it in mind. That is my hard advice.
那对俺남주 개 친구고는 시작이 요아 지난 소 가두이네 때 시작이 요. 나 가두이네 배발에 출시나 담바숨 써야 돼 개 친구래시. 담바숨 써야 돼. 그때 담바숨 써야 돼.
So this, is what I speak about so often, and to my Tibetan students as well. It's called the 3 instructions.
다 둘이 담바숨 써야 돼. 가데 개 친구래 써야 돼. 다 요아 심지 담바 써야 돼. 공도 시바 난시. 다 요아 심지 담바 써야 돼.
So the first one is the instruction to prepare with bodhicitta, as mentioned, as I explained before.
아니 무지무미 담바셔야 돼. 다다다 지란소이나 무지그 값을 추닝게 요리 나게는 무지그 값을 추시게 요리 뒤인데 자네 내가 무지무미 담바시.
And then in the main practice, in this case, a Dharma discourse, then it would be paying attention on my part to the teaching, and on your part to the hearing, meditating.
이 값을 지란소이나양 아니 암초 아니 나게 칙라 때 암초되니 지란소가 언르시네 그 칙가래라서 때 암초는 놀지. 아니 책장 많이 봐. 아니 지 간사를 못든 쉬려든 안 되는 못든 미드는 책을 못든 되는 안 되는 못든 미드는 남시는 못든 이시는 뜻은 맞으시야요. 근데 지금 거니 책이 니르죠. 그 책 님보지 시에서 종다지 시 님보지 시에서는 자막 개모 착착착하듯이 대 님보지 시에서 하시. 대 많이 봐 양치 들으시나 티 녀업들에다지 니코. 근데 많이 봐 책을 못든 되는 되는 인도 와티 되는 인도 어때 줌시 되는 도 하시. 되는이야 그 단된 거 소리 못든 니 되는 거 소리 양 간사를 몇든 출했듯이 양이 집어버더니 담보 지 간사 코랑지 다 집집본다 나만다 든지 인바이 나하다들 라마 쉬인사라 호잡선 지고 집보 쉬비지 노삼산데 디 라마데 송 간사를 몇든 출했든 책을 몇든 되는든 단되는 몇든 외대한든 아니 제란적 심진사대야 남시를 몇든 이시를 다 든바지 신지 말아봐 지난 중
시바디의 가르성
나
이시라 맞죠
이시를 든 남시를 몇든 이시를 든
딜렉 디콜 저 칙 나노
배나 남시 단 남시 세야 돼 나랑 저 왕보 고 악 세고라 남시겠지 소비에게 여도 주바 근데 거니 징게 근데 많이 봐 아니 다 돈이 그 따와 땅 산주 그 심 된담 산주 그 심줄에 지나 이시 된담배 이시 줄에 지해요라 징긴 코라야 된다 집에서.
And so this listening to words of Dharma, we can, it's so you're hearing, in your ears, the words that come from my mouth. But it's there's a lot to it. It's a very profound practice, what we call reliance, practice of 4 reliances. And so what this means is that as you listen, you're not listening to a personality, a charismatic character or whatever. that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person is, how famous they are. And there's nothing to be impressed about by that. Rather, you want to be hearing what they're saying. Okay, so it's not about who they are, what they look like, or anything like that. But what are they saying? Okay, so that's the first reliance. You rely upon not upon the person, but upon the teaching. And then, as far as it being a teaching, it's not a matter of how it's delivered, what words are used to say it, but the meaning. If all of the attention is on the style of the words, then when the teacher is telling an interesting story and it's exciting, you might be really excited about it, but then when the words are more straightforward, you get bored with it, fall asleep. Not like that. It's not what is the style of the words, the style of the words, but the meaning of what's being said, the actual meaning, however it's being said, whether it's eloquent or rough, whatever. The meaning is what's important. So not on the words, but the meaning. Don't rely upon the words, but upon the meaning. And then, relying upon the meaning, we don't rely upon. The advice is to not rely upon a provisional meaning, but upon a definitive meaning, and in understanding that, not to rely upon mind or superficial mental consciousness, but a deep awareness, transcendent awareness. And I asked Rinpoche to say a word about that last one, and he says, well, when we normally hear things, it's more superficial with our senses. So here we're talking about the mental consciousness. When the mental consciousness is aware of shunyata and compassion, or shunyata, selflessness filled with compassion. And this is that ultimate bodhicitta, which is we're talking about here, to listen with that transcendent awareness, not with conceptual mental awareness. So this is the advice about how to listen during that main practice, to how to hear the words. And then further advice about listening is to listen to this sound like a deer, but to practice like a yak eating grass. Okay, so the way the deer hears sounds, the deer is noted for being just very tuned in single-pointedly to the sounds, hearing them. So to listen like that, just with complete captivated attention. And then in the practice of Dharma, to be like a yak eating grass. And the yak is a very industrious grass eater. So just whatever grass is right in front of it, it's eating, and it's also looking for whatever grass is next, rising and ready to move there. And so in the case of Dharma practice, unlike material things where it's better to just have contentment, in Dharma practice, we don't want to be lax in it, but industrious about it. The ideal Dharma student is the one that's always looking to practice, accomplishing one practice, going on to the next one. So like that, some more advice about listening and practicing.
Drama yi drama ke ani drama ke metok zhenje ba na yin xi drama si yuwa mbachi yuwa metok zhen de xin je de ni ji mbachi yuwa bing
Da ko so.
ode ko metok kalpo inanda ngumbo inanda sepo inanda marpo inanda ko metok la kui ta yo mai ko kiti metok na na zhe yu ji de ji bu yu la 这让子的，我啥有的？第那一我去当去年那些的告诉呀，去干啥呀是样的，做是样的，去路呀是样的，做是样的，去路当干啥的？你过了嘛？当呢，等个俺了干了个平个的，等个俺了平个有呢，这个有的。第 drama teke meto karpo inanda do ngina inda do yana inda ngumbo marpo sebo kare na ku meto tayo ma ku zet drama zet ji gu yora.
And also, advice is to not discriminate in listening to teachings, but be like the bee taking the pollen. When the bee looks at the flowers, it's not so concerned about the different colors of flowers or how beautiful they are, but what they taste like, whether they have the pollen for the honey. And so similarly, in hearing teachings of Dharma, again, we don't want to focus on who the person is or what kind of, what particular tradition they're coming from, but rather, what is there in their teaching that resonates for us. And if there is something there, then taking that, using that. So listening to Dharma in that way. So that's preparing with bodhicitta and being undistracted in the main practice. First two of those three instructions. So then finally, and dedicate at the end. That's the third instruction. Now those three are very, very important.
Churang chu nimba inanda, churang chu druba inanda, chu nganda ina chu sheba inanda, chu nishi gomdru kandu chene yang, desu machangwa ina, ina chu namdala chakyo mari.
These three are so important whenever we're doing any kind of practice, recitation or meditation or any kind of spiritual act or wholesome act. Like when I'm teaching, whether we're meditating or practicing or anything, these three have to be there. If these three are not there, then that spiritual deed of whatever it might be, it won't be pure, it won't be fully potent, it won't be complete. These three being there makes it pure, makes it full and complete.
Tateka andan juni de la, rang la pe tan jo pa hinda tang yung din la so chetar yu chang rong. Nga jar gong pang gong we man to wa, ta do min sa song xi yin da ni xi.
12th verse says, no matter how much glory, wealth, fame, or knowledge we may have, pride never raises us higher. Always keep a humble position. That is my heart advice. So this is really important.
So this
So like I mentioned before, what Dharma learning, Dharma practice, it needs to go towards improving us as a person, acting as an antidote to the afflicted states of mind in ourselves, like arrogance or anger and attachment and jealousy, these things. if that doesn't happen, then the Dharma is not really serving its purpose.
Today du zane kadam pe gewe shin na be lobjong tsiji ma na song do lobjong tsiji ge ma na ni gang dang su dang ro bu che da ni gun le mi da xin ka de yin la sam ba ta ba yi cho de ji ban jin ba xiu.
So like the Kadampa master said in the 8 verses of mind training, whenever I associate with anyone, I view myself as least of all, and in all relations view others as supreme.
Ta de de ta ne ta ti ko de ta nyam ni si ya de lobjong si ya ke chin bo ro.
So this is the kind of mind training, mind subduing and training. It's very important.
Tan anda chu sum de la ji bu gao sun chong deng si ba ta du bu gao sun ngo ken de ba so ta nang tho mi ji do je so yang ji do bar ji xin yin da yin si.
In verse 13, whether we are jumping for joy or crying in pain, during all highs and lows, whatever illusions of happiness or sadness arise, use them for your spiritual path. That is my heart advice.
Ta de de yong si ge wa.
So these kinds of things can happen, can't they?
Ti si ji shira yo go ma le ma le ti si ji ri ta da nga la pe ji se de ni chong ne sam pa nam pa jo ma cha ma ani ti si ji du ha de da ma da ka nga ri o da nga la du ha ri son ji ji ri so sin ne ta ni ta na ta ti du he de me che ne du ha le cha ji la ni ta so so na cha zong ni du ja ri na so so ra so ji de ma bu ji ngo do.
So sometimes people get extremely excited about these superficial things. Some small good fortune comes their way and they're just jumping for joy, or some little thing goes wrong and they fall into a deep depression about it. And so this is very unbalanced and leads to people committing suicide over small things.
Da de de ji ri de ka se ji ji do kan de yong na ya ji na ta ka dam pe ge wi xin na de song do wa ji na de wa cho so pin di nang ka kang wa shu do na do har kun ji khur do ga ke jam so kem ba shu si ji na ya ji bo ri ji kon jo sam da ani ji za wa la me tu ji ka de ji bo jong so si de nga ra hun ji le ri si ji ne ji tu bo la si ne bang zu bo si ji tu bo si ani dunga le na ya ata dunga le so si ani dunga la ni khap de cha ne ta ngma ngai xie gi wa dunga la khap de cha ne dungar chu le zung ya de non tho li si dungar de su zu ri si ne dungar de ngarang gu zu ro si do tham ni lang nang go le yu na go la na sa le ga de ngarang gu zu ro si ta ti dunga le li kap so kan de chi sa mo tang go si na ho ta te ngarang gu hum le ri si ta leng in ba de tre ngarang gu lu tin di tho leng in ba de ma ta lo yu si te da chap chi do nga da ngan da be dong har chi de de ge dong har chi na de sim chi te na cha ma ge dong har de ngarang gu tho nyung yu o de de mo lam tam de dong har lang ya wa yi na ani ping ge wa se na.
So Kadampa Geshe's had another saying.
Ji na dewa cho ji na dewa cho so ngo pin di nang ka kang wa shu.
So the way again that the what it says is that leave aside translating the verse literally, but the meaning of it is the way that they related to happiness and sadness is that they viewed happiness for what it is, result of good karma from the past, but then they just send it out in a prayer that it may bring benefit and happiness to all. So whenever they had happiness, they were instantly sending it out, sharing it with others. And when they had pain, again, the meaning of this verse was that realizing that it's a result of negative karma, then praying that may serve to free all others of their suffering. May I bear the suffering of all. So so that was how they related to it. So again, in particular about relating to suffering and sadness, like I mentioned before in one teaching, when there's suffering that arises, if you just look at it as a problem, as faulty, I think is a mistake. At that time, there's no point in just looking and just commiserating in it, but rather to look at it, understand the karma involved, because where did that suffering come from? Like I explained before, it's just as if we had taken a rock and hit ourselves on the head. It's our own karma returning to us. So when we experience the suffering, then to think, oh, this is great. This is wonderful now that bad karma I created in the past is now being purified. I'm experiencing the results of it, and so it's being purified and used up, and so that's great, purifying my karma. And then at the same time, being aware that there are countless other living beings with the same kind of problem and worse, and doing the kind of giving and taking practice where we feel like we're taking away the suffering of others upon our own suffering, with a kind of a prayer that may this serve to free all others of this and similar sufferings. And so this is how to use the experiences of joy and sorrow on the spiritual path.
So if you
ask somebody, does suffering have qualities, good qualities, it's hard for someone to quickly give an answer to that. But I say that there's benefits to suffering, there's benefits to the problems. So as the Shantideva said, that suffering has these qualities. It makes one disillusioned with this cycle of samsaric existence. And gives one compassion. It raises one's compassion for those caught up in that cycle. It makes you abhor vice and harmful actions and enjoy virtuous, wholesome actions. And we can see this in our own experience a lot, that if somebody's very happy, has some very good conditions, then they can tend to just be very careless and unconscientious in their way of acting, be prideful and arrogant, and we can just see, observing them, that those kinds of things, and that people won't like them very much for that. They won't get along very well with others. As opposed to when somebody meets some misfortune, difficulties in their life, then they tend to, not be as proud and more intent on, not harming others and helping out when they can. Sometimes I've seen it happen that people's natures change very immediately when meeting problems. They suddenly became quite a wonderful person, better than before.
아니 다 안아주지 바래. 강근 진산트배 인송래 만지 나이 잡시 담제봐. 산지 오빠 미지 슬란드니 딘지 잡시 니지 닝당니시.
And verse 14 is one who fearlessly vowed to protect all those who merely hear his name. Keep this deity, Buddha Amitabha, as your eternal refuge. That is my heart advice.
다들 간디단에 송 요리시나 산지 오빠 미긴 친 투나 아니 니 송라 메지시. 그래 산지 오빠 미 코랑 샤니 마송 야주지리시. 산지 오빠 미 운도시네 운도신 도침보지 요리. 오빠 미긴 도 디나는 코랑 그 마송 요리시.
So what is this saying? Actually, in the Amitabha Sutra itself, Buddha Amitabha himself said this, that one who even hears his name will not take birth in worse realms of existence in rebirth.
다다다제단 비번 남부 출라 아니 예담 망보지 요리시. 예담 망보지 요리 자네 자베 예담데 아니 자와레 nga시. 자와레 nga라. 디 나니다 딩고 보바미데 너그 소리 조데릭. 데 오바미. 다 자와레 nga. 예담 용수 좀 참아도 용공대 자와레 nga리. 디나니다 너그 소고 보바미.
So there are many different yidams or meditational deities, literally deities that are integrated with your mind or linked, bound with your mind. So it's a kind of a binding with a deity. And there are many different kinds of deities in the Tibetan Buddhism. But the source of all of them, one root categorization from which they all derive, is the 5 Buddha families. And those are 5 families that are set up in a mandala to each of the cardinal directions and in the center. And it's in the western direction of that mandala that Buddha Amitabha, the red Buddha, is situated. So these are really the primary of all of the meditational deities in Tibetan Dharma.
다 라버도 아주 예담세야데 두당 뚜네 두당 튼바지 아주 드람 니셔 짝기 봐. 네 값에 아니 드람 니셔 짝기 봐 완데. 당압자 니마가 더버트 지난데도 니마가 더버트라 아니 공부 봐미케. 아니 마음부 심지 담지 마다와나 나이 다와주지 마다와나 나이 다와주지 뭐 마용발라 내오 용와주지 용수 양이 만레 만데베 심지네 용수 양이래 내 다와 쇼지 시네 아니 코랑 뭐만이 두지 모남 니마 나다와시 디갑스 모남 망보지 나야리케 다다다 나주 뭐네 예담 거다 두추 늘라 니마 나다버들라 다 예담는 늘 라스 지미 바지리시.
And Buddha Amitabha made a very strong connection with our times. In the course of Buddha Amitabha's spiritual career, the prayers that he made for his enlightenment were directed towards this time of our 21st century, of time of great degeneration, a time when there's great violence and greed and so on in the world. 5 types of degenerations occurring. Buddha Amitabha made many prayers for these times, saying, the beings that are suffering, intense suffering at that time, may I release them. Those that are those that are taking a detour in their own solitary peace. May I awaken them. I'll set all as beings suffering in misery in nirvana. So that these were the prayers that he made for our time.
되는지 아니 다 대게 호바미 띵바 또 호바미 간듯이 띵 거리시도 또 되는지 띵 거리시도 안단 종아 바다 님보 아메데베 송한데 부총 말음베 동향따 님치 두록 남스 띵바 님바나 투지 즈반여로 님다니 다 대게 호바미 띵당다 간듯이 띵 거리시.
And then the recitation of Buddha Amitabha's mantra, how is that done? It's shown in the next verse. Reciting the life essence mantra of Buddha Amitabha, like a young child crying for our mother, melodiously throughout 6 periods of day and night, we receive Amitabha's compassionate care more quickly. That is my heart advice.
지땅가 거니 산지라 소와 마담 나냥 심지라 투지 즈기요 소나 산지의 체주시에도 소와 마답장 아니 심지게 되는 님치 뒤쪽도 아니 마즈기요리지 산지의 체주시에도 찍들시야요.
Now there's one special quality of a fully awakened being, which is that, one particular quality is that whether they're prayed to or not, they still have full compassion, looking with compassion on living beings. So it doesn't depend upon them receiving a prayer or request to feel compassion for living beings. It's just naturally part of their nature.
리데 이내양 나랑수 소와타야테 개침버지.
But even so, asking from our side is very important.
빼나 당에 남주대 빼자기요 빼나 가주 신진의 지가 다 산지에 그슬라 산직 슬란럽시야데 가주 드라시네 인도신 드라시는 저거요라 슬라니시야데 지지는 드라시기요 드라시야 근데 인도자네 내 남주 빼자고 빼나 가주 아메리카 신진도 와 신진은 드라시고나 가주 남산 가바 땅의 신진 드라시고나 시토고 말와 담보 신진들은 드라 가와란도 한 예산인도 짠 탑시시는 고란래 홍는 들어왔어요. 아니 고란 중익은 들어왔어요. 아니 매일이 신진 들어왔고 디나시 나랑 쪽에야 단 들어왔으네. 공부 오빠미라 님치 투족다. 아니 소왔다면 들어왔어야 돼. 니셔야 돼. 그렇지 모르지.
니스?
니셔야 돼. 들어와리다 밥산냐 반냐도 뭐냐네 니. 님치 두록 남시 니반에서도 와.
Look.
니셔야 돼.
Look.
들어왔으기요라. Amitabha call you. Connection. I talking about the connection.
So we're making that connection with Buddha Amitabha. So, but even though a Buddha such as Buddha Amitabha is constantly looking on beings with compassion throughout 6 periods of day and night, without being asked, from our side,
So what I had to
so it's very important from our side to make the request. So what we're doing with these days, as I said, we're binding with them. It's a gradual process where we relate to a deity by approaching them, by gradually creating a relationship with them. For instance, if we wanted to, meet the President of the United States, we wouldn't be able to just, call them right up. We need to make some preparation to think how we're going to approach their office and their secretary, whether physically or however, to gradually reach them. So, in the case of practice with an enlightened form such as Buddha Amitabha, the idea is to create this relationship, to gradually get closer and closer to them, eventually attaining their state.
Ade ana jongaji. Ta judok bade lalop yundun di petam sik te kanne kapsa chola ma jorwa. Jibe sole marvin dushi ji mabji nyingla shoshi hingdan. Tate lama ta loma ken wako.
The next verse, not throwing away the long-held samaya between guru and disciple at difficult times, perceiving it as more valuable than life, never forget. Keep this commitment in your heart. That is my heart advice. So this is about the relationship between a guru and a student.
Ta tinsa me mambo chi ke chi lama si du chi trobo da chi ken du shi. Ta lama da pa chi America ke na lama da trobo ni da pa chi trobo za qian da ji zhe lo nge ke ja kai ji ji go so. Ta trobo
Drobo ga nang ne sa che.
trobo lama le trobo za qian zhe lo li shou de. trobo si de xu zhe de wa trobo da trobo si de. 아니 라마스디 들어가지 다시 네티즌의 개개인들이 티처인데서 저 당지 등득 지력 티처를 개개인 된다 지가 된다리 시다 문에 아주 남부추 라바다 상하 도지트 추 니나니 자와 라마스야데 답에 마스 개친 뭐지 배 마스 개친 뭐지 차대.
So many people or students in the West, I've noticed, seem to not hold the guru, think of the guru very highly compared to, say, like their girlfriend or their boyfriend. But in Tibetan Buddhism, and especially in the Tantra Yana, that's not at all correct. Rather, it's very important in that particularly in that context, to hold the guru not as just an ordinary teacher of some kind, but in very high esteem.
Lama ko mambo mashi wa tende di chani nga trendi domba tini chiran solo ma de yuri yang tende mambo shi na korang lama yin di chani korang la chi shi de da chi pogri da maung ba le chiran ju yang lama yin bi ju ne ni de ko chin de shi ka mama shu na.
But if I explain much about this to you now, since I'm the guru and you're the disciple, it's going to sound like I'm really building myself up here. So I won't talk about this here. You can ask other teachers about that.
Yine lama la matinin hune lama ta chi sia te pe ke chi mo le nge ka du na te la go yo si.
But as I always say, it's very important to check a teacher first, before deciding that you want to be in a relationship with them, to study with them.
Labar de nga ke te chi yo pe na chi lama da loma si de chiran chu ku chi ngala ta chi chi si.
So I particularly encourage that, for people to examine me. I want to give you time to do that.
아니 ngene ja chiran chu ta chi se ne 다 ngene so kan theni da de lama ya bu chi do diksa ri samba chi na ani yini lama da loma dik.
And then, after some time, when if you feel, that I'm a good lama or one that's suitable for you to have and to rely upon, then at a bit later point, and we can, make this relationship of guru-disciple.
근데 지금 라마도 로마 차찰리데 다다 가서 시에마 타바가 안당 주로 빠데 다디 담세도 송고 유리시 라로 유든디 베담세데 간네 가서 처럼 맞아 왔어야데 다 든드게 라마도 로마 차찰리데 집에 소래 말버지도 와 집에 랑게 소래 장 말와 든드지.
And it's that kind of relationship which is being spoken of in the 16th verse. Once that guru-disciple relationship is acknowledged and created, that then is a time to view that relationship as more valuable than one's life.
ngaran ge ngune ngaran la chi zambu yondin de chi o samba chi ka ke tin je me si ngaran ge ngune ka ya me si chung cha chi yu ba de 중선지 요바데 다 나랑 그 띵고사 그 짜블라마 잡지 사지 띵지는 뭐지 콩 수세박 나랑 그 닝그 띵도 짜블라마 가시지 다뒤 짜블라마 뒤 남발라 뒤 남양 나그 대지 랑라오지 소수지오지 임바지 쌈노 짜와니는 게 콜만 용시 양문의 산지가 들어봐 대면의 산주스면 들어봐 당연히지 린도 삼방 안하는 투모 많이 밖에 닝그 띵니 대나라 닝그 띵니 대바지 다 대가라 용디 중선 요바대 요시다.
So, I would say that I have, no good qualities to show. If I have any good quality, to show even just the slightest good quality, then that is what it is that towards my roots teacher, my main teacher, Kyabji Anji Tenzin Rinpoche, I've never had any sense of him being kind of a deluded person like myself or just ordinary, but just always I've thought of him, seen him as an emanation of a Buddha or Bodhisattva, a completely extraordinary being. So I have this constant awareness of my teacher like that. And particularly in the Tibetan Vajra Dharma, it said that the Guru is the root of blessings, the Yidam is the root of siddhis. So that the master and the meditational form are so important that all of the blessings for realization, all of the inspiration, waves of inspiration come through the Guru, and all siddhis, whether of highest enlightenment or common siddhis, come through the practice of the meditational deity. We're going on to the 17th verse. You are grateful to me for Dharma kindness. I am grateful to you for kind material support. Helping one another in this way is sacred Dharma work. That is my heart advice.
강 잡잡세 다 강야야 다 나랑 문이 휴的谢다 다대 나랑 지 춘트 담벨레 기왕 훈벨레 그 나랑 지 휘 지로다지 근데 차대 그러지.
So this verse I've added especially because of the many people who've helped me here. I don't need to name all of you, but you know who you are, who've helped me so much in this work, and I really do remember that kindness. I will never forget it. And from my side, I want to offer the best that I have. Best teachings with most care that I can possibly muster. And I always keep pictures of my students, and on every Dharma special day, such as the 10th of the lunar calendar, the 10th day of the rising moon, and the full moon, and on many occasions during the month, I say prayers and I think about and look at my students.
아니 아는 쪽지 받다. 단 돌두고네 마. 돈 참아 마드야 다디나. 단 너나 강도 내버스로나 남구 문에 휴게 간지바. 두공 세네 맙지 딘지다 양자 진정 용어 힘당이지.
So this 18th verse is then a summary of it all. In brief, disciples, wherever you live, always remember and never forget all the advice I have given you, and we will meet again in joy. That is my heart advice.
단 남주 알아 힘바 간시야 미 지란소라 네 쇼부터 지란소라 내 때가 요래 겁도 가는 쇼부지리 이내 나다 공동 애시바 난시 책을 못도 돈을 손바 난시 되는데 아니 지란주 삼목당네 단네 쇼부터 나가 찹이지 나가 찹듯이 지란소 떼요지.
So, I'm really giving you what I have to give here. So, when I'm not here, these words can act as my representative. I'm giving it to you. And again, don't just look at the words, but thinking about the meaning that's conveyed.
아니 단디 양자 진정 용어 써야 되게 내가 지라 나파 야는 거 요리시 가자 야를 마선 하면 뒤야주지리시 아니 나와 순근 훈낭니 나와서 그 차에 같이 용의 차지리시 아니 비값이 양아서 양자 두그리시 하다 지리시.
And so right now the plan is that I'll be going to India for about 3 months, but then we'll meet again after that. I'll come back.
아니 다 안다주고 봐대. 로포 담추 띵지 메도 티 로메 지차 윤신랍的미. 담추 야지 발모 운도 줄 만다 링징도 번이 다인시. 다데 모남.
So prayer in verse 19. Master's reign of flower of holy Dharma. Master's reign of flowers. Anyone makes a note of that, of holy Dharma. Ripens the garden grove of disciples, manifesting a glorious summer of Dharma, always together inseparably. This is my heart advice.
때려 망보진데 시작하면도 아니 게 지난주에 주시에요리 아니 지난주 지유게 대사 피요나 아니 냠내 아버지 지 멘트도 냠내시야데 개침벌이 휴시야데 멘트도 냠내시와이나 나와시 냠내시바이나 아니 이제는 생각 때문에 좋아하는 그래. 당연히 휴시야데 든데치린도 삼산데 랑도 돈이 랑근용의 돈이 절 아래 당연히 든데치린도 삼산데 생각 돈 냠용의 돈이 용 그래.
So there's no need to say a lot about this. Through what I've taught, if you find something, that benefits you, that's of benefit to you, even slightly, then put it into practice and continuously. It's very important with whatever kind of inner work that we do, that we keep it very continuous, unbroken, because that's when we keep something up in this practice for a long time, then we start to get a taste for it. And through our own experience, naturally, we'll have these insights, but it needs to be continuous.
야야, 다 된지. 아니 다 효로가 니셔봐대.
In the 20th verse,
건조 렌신숨게 딘톱당 슈거 체우 밤이 신납치 집시 산추 님보 마토 반란미 치나 송식 민다인시 당은에이데 당에 투준데 지난 정아게 닝기 지라 나라 같이 로테 주네야 마 같이 그 로테 주네야 로 같이 때네야 나 팀보스 되게다 nga mai nania ma dukya de me ngala ma chi ko topo de ding topo chi che sa nga topo timbo se de ge topo le tende timbo se de go ina lama loma le xie ma go wa lama loma le de ge chi wa chiran zu de namya nga ge lu ma tang anga pe chi bo chong so si ta kang da che California la nga ngune I very very happy here the 3 years here
Okay, so I can't really say what I want to say here. May the power of the truth of the three precious jewels and blessings of Buddha's Amitabha and Amitayas protect you inseparably until attaining the essence of enlightenment. That is my heartfelt prayer. So this is really what I feel. This is this is my very deeply heartfelt feeling and prayer. And this is what I feel from my side, that I will never forsake you. No matter how many people rely upon me, decide they want to have me as a teacher, I'm not going to. I'm going to be here. I'm not going to to fold or. I will never give up. I'll never forget you. So that's what I'm saying here. And so, and during these 3 years here in Carmel, I've had such a wonderful time, such a happy time for me. And when I come back, like I say, I feel such a connection with our place here, and I would hope to establish this center. I don't really talk about this in public to too many people, but even as kind as Wave Street Studios has been, even beyond that, to do even more here with renting or buying a place that we could have as a Dharma center. That's my my long-term vision for here to develop it further. So keep that in mind.
And kata jawarum buci ngala kadena jangun buci ngala kadena di curang kawal de so ngati sengocha ngam sanji nana de sena jangun buci nga chusochi nana de ta de yujuri so gongyora thangala chuso mede chane ngate ya shual pi sengocha nga getuchi nana de yoshi re so rishi and chura deondoe yapondoe tenaso and jekento pechibondo tenashi ya so ata maungba ngaso 추소지 리송아이나 다 ngaso 참을 답되어지고 살이다 간지.
When I had the audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama recently, and His Holiness asked, where I'm living, and I was a little embarrassed to not just say, well, this center, that I established here. There, I said, well, I'm staying, with students, and he goes, oh, really? Is that okay? Is that comfortable for you? And he says, no, it's been fine. It's been wonderful, comfortable. Fine. But it would be more appropriate in the future to be able to say, have this center established there, and I could just think it'd be more convenient, for everyone, eventually.
Now
into the 21st verse. Thus, with a sound mind, this clod of earth has said what he thought, because of being urged by disciples whom he regards as precious as gold. It is the heart advice of this homeless wanderer with the title of a Dharma teacher.
당에 카데오 니달 시에요리와 야보 님보 트이요리 디나게 주자 참ang 등킨 코랑게 냠니 투구 요르웨스나 갈래 가버리 등에 지나서 시에고로 아마 코 등킨 든데지리야 코 등킨 든데인데 등킨 나게 디디자네 자차자 코랑게 냠니 지게 요나 삼바 지난주 도바사시게 자차자 참ang에 냠니 시 투구 요 말이지 이능에 시에 투구 요다 근데 있잖아요. 되게 라냐 미바 간딘도 나라는 냠니 요 말이지. 뭔가 세직인 줄 러번 게 이는 더 수쟁게 나라들이 저거도 수처럼 파마선 후나 뭐 저런 게 주시에 야지 참아도 너도시는 말이 톨기 빠고도 쓰는 야시리 아니 나 봉화리 이네 뭐랑 게 시인다고 진 통크요 돌아 봉환 통도요라 시라 돌아 시인다고 진 통크요 나야玻璃 상고요라 대인들 자네니 네티유리 시끌마다도 소미 작한 바. 좋아요.
Okay, so okay, so okay, so this there maybe want to retranslate this first line here a little bit. Thus, with a sound mind, this clod of earth has said what he thought. As far as what he's saying, said what he thought. Actually, what Rinpoche is saying that he didn't just say what he thought. that it's not just his own thoughts, that he's saying here. In fact, what this verse is really meant to make very clear is that if you wonder, well, can Rinpoche do all of this, practice all of this? Here he wants to say 100% sure, no. He's not capable of doing this. He can explain it, how to practice all of this, but he's not claiming to be able to embody all of these teachings here. So, so in other words, he's saying these are the teachings I've heard. I'm not just making this up, but this is the situation.
아니 제상대 단 제상대처럼 마송나 시 추담도 사바닝단 예측반더니 저랑나 봉화 실롬진저 로번가이라 아니 내가 랭 에샤의 솔란루주 마제바 공랜데 타빌랍자 규시 끝마다도 간딘데 추나면 민진 kinkartinti arisanso California toncheji chashi kamrishi kunji monsisa nanghumbo tongalongda yoyomden chibe jamso chibe nyebe char ransha samti dingkhang kandi chilo ni tong chuni dawa chibe chiba tongni tibe tamchi kundo gishi shiba jerje.
So then the colophon, as there was a felt need before I left on a trip to Asia, I was urged to write these 21 verses of Dharma advice by disciples whom this worthless clod of earth regards as precious as gold. Therefore, I, Khenpo Karten Rinpoche, wrote this in California, North America, in a part of the city called Carmel, where all is harmonious, next to the great ocean, which is as blue as if the blue of the sky had fallen to earth. At my room, soaring samadhi on the 6th of April 2012 of the Western calendar, may all be virtuous and auspicious.
다들이 지체란 소리인데 티 토요리 아니 롱 토요리 롱더 티 니차 다 가사니 마 토요리 다 야본들이 다 가인시나 그 이게 등킹 가라인 있잖니 가란 그 사리 지난주 니주부터도 티다 롱 차상지 토요리 냠니시나 더 슬랍 세고 말을 다 예쁘게 자리 그 티롱 니차 가사니 토요라.
So now you've received the explanation or the commentary of this text and the transmission of it, hearing all of the words from me, who was the author of it. And so when we speak about blessings, coming through a lineage, you are right at the very beginning, the very closest of lineage, to the source of this lineage as you could be. And so there are lots of blessings to be found here.
당아전 염도 인지통이 마 차진된 거이다. 원이 마 가장 차진동으로 다른 양자 차진된.
So let's read it all now in English together from the beginning. In the following Dharma advice for heart disciples, I've written down what I feel from my heart. Rinpoche,
말.
아니
주주도 줄로도.
펜데 레소 중에 go chiku.
네, 동거 담보.
Okay, now we actually have to start from the end here.
Yeah.
At the last page the upper
Yeah.
left-hand corner, A. Then Nyingi Bulo, right?
네.
So once we've recited the verse in square A there on the last page, then we'll go back to the beginning and start with verse 1. The sole source of all goodness, benefit, and bliss, is a virtuous guide who shows the unmistaken path. I beg the root guru whose kindness can never be repaid. Watch over us with eyes of timeless wisdom. In the following Dharma advice for heart disciples, I have written down what I feel from my heart. Keep it in your heart and practice it. My heart advice for Vajra Dharma brothers and sisters. This precious human life, like a boat, is found but once and not repeatedly. Don't be slow to take the boat across the terror-filled ocean of samsara. That is my heart advice. When we attain this excellent basis, so difficult to find, if we throw it away in meaningless, harmful conduct, we are trading gold for worthless rocks. Don't waste this life. That is my heart advice. A son of the incomparable Shakyas said, if intentions are good, the path and destination will be good. But if intentions are bad, the path and destination will be bad. Call up good intentions. That is my heart advice. Mind is the king with power over all. The body is the slave, whether of virtue or vice. Not emphasizing imitation virtue of body and speech. Always watch your mind. That is my heart advice. All beings have Buddha nature, just as milk is pervaded by butter. When the two accumulations are churned with effort, at some point Buddha nature will manifest. That is my heart advice. The difference between Buddhas and sentient beings is whether they have awakened awareness or not. If you don't cling to them as permanently different, you will find Buddha within. That is my heart advice. Samsara and nirvana are no more different than the two sides of a single hand. Abandon dualistic discrimination. Pure lands are nowhere else. That is my heart advice. The tracts left by all Buddhas, past, present, and future, quintessence of the 84,000 teachings, are the instructions on altruistic bodhicitta. Don't forget them, practice them. That is my heart advice. When among many, watch your speech. When staying alone, watch your mind, is taught. In all actions, again and again, check your body, speech, and mind. That is my heart advice. Prepare with bodhicitta, be undistracted in main practice, and dedicate at the end. Full attention to these 3 points is cherished by those on the path to liberation, it is taught. Don't forget this. Keep it in mind. That is my heart advice. No matter how much glory, wealth, fame, or knowledge we may have, pride never raises us higher. Always keep a humble position. That is my heart advice. Whether we are jumping for joy or crying in pain, during all highs and lows, whatever illusions of happiness or sadness arise, use them for your spiritual path. That is my heart advice. As one who fearlessly vowed to protect all those who merely hear his name, keep this deity, Buddha Amitabha, as your eternal refuge. That is my heart advice. Reciting life essence mantra of Buddha Amitabha, like a young child crying for our mother, melodiously throughout 6 periods of day and night, we receive Amitabha's compassionate care more quickly. That is my heart advice. Not throwing away the long-held samaya between guru and disciple at difficult times, perceiving it as more valuable than life. Never forget. Keep this commitment in your heart. That is my heart advice. You are grateful to me for Dharma kindness. I am grateful to you for kind material support, helping one another in this way, the sacred Dharma work. That is my heart advice. In brief, disciples, wherever you live, always remember and never forget. all the advice I have given you. Then we will meet again in joy. That is my heart advice. The Master's rain of flowers of holy Dharma ripens the garden grove of disciples, manifesting a glorious summer of Dharma, always together inseparably. This is my heart advice. May the power of truth of the three precious jewels and the blessings of Buddha Amitabha and Amitayus protect you inseparably until attaining the essence of enlightenment. That is my heart prayer. I'm skipping to verse 21. Right, with a sound mind, this clod of earth has said what he thought, because of being urged by disciples whom he regards as precious as gold. It is the heart advice of this homeless wanderer with the title of a Dharma teacher.
Yeah.
Now, excuse me again about the translation of that verse, Gangdendu. That does mean has said what he thought, so it's accurate enough here.
아야. 아니 들지 당아 주네 주거든요. 아니 마 모남디 바래. 수남데시. 그래서 교수
So looking to the dedication verse
46.
in the small book
This is 46.
and 46 in the big book.